Hey there everybody, and welcome back to another Pinal Prep Spotlight brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. As you folks can see, David is back with me today, and this week we are going to be tackling the girls basketball season and just ranking our top three teams on how our Pinal County teams are doing right now at this moment. Kicking things off, David, what's your number 3 team?
Well, first of all, to Joey Chenoweth, sorry, but your show's been canceled, unfortunately. We're back to our regularly scheduled programming. Now that I'm back, so I kind of ranked these guys in no particular order, really. I just kind of looked at who I thought would have some good teams right here. So I'm going to start with Poston Butte. Poston Butte currently sits at around 8-7. They're led by Adriana Bachman, who is their lead scorer. She scores about 13.8 points per game. The team's a decent rebounding team as well, with a lot of their players averaging around 3 to 4 rebounds a game. So they're a really good gang rebounding team. They don't really rely on a lot of people inside the paint to get those rebounds for them. A lot of them can do it for them. And then guard Julia Harris is a great defender. She is averaged around 5.1 steals a game, so that is great for a team to have a great defensive stopper to get your team on the fast break whenever you can. But if they get on a run in the back stretch, I think they could make some noise in the later season. So I like this team. I think they could do some damage. Next up, we got CG Union, Casa Grande. They're led by 3 pretty good scorers. They got Aaliyah Robbins, Juliet Graves, and Bailey Nash. Robbins scoring 9.4 points per game, and then Graves and Nash both around 8 points per game. Robbins has also proven to be a really good rebounder as well, averaging around 7 rebounds a game. So she's a great person to have where you can score for you, but also get you back on the offense, on the defensive side, and be able to get those rebounds. But I think they have to do a better job of handling the ball here. I like what they have here, but they have to do better at keeping the ball and not forcing turnovers. They average around 20 a game, which if you're giving the ball up 20 times, you're not going to have a good chance of winning. So I think they need to control that, but if they do control that, they have a great job down the stretch, and they can do something really good. And then finally, I got Vista Grande. Vista Grande, obviously, with Julia Scott, she's probably one of the best girls basketball players in the county. She's averaging 18 points per game, 12 rebounds a game. She is a great 1-2 punch to have in the middle for that Vista Grande team. And then while she handles most of the front court duty, she's got a backcourt partner as well in Emily Shedd. Emily scores around 12.2 points per game and 6.8 rebounds. So those are 2 great players, one in the backcourt, one in the front court, that help them both on the scoring side, the rebounding side. They're both really good for them. And even though they have some nice pieces, they only sit at 500, around 6-6. And I think their team is better than what their record says they are. So I think I expect them to make a big push down the stretch to hopefully get into a playoff spot. I think Vista Grande has a good chance to do a lot of good things here, and if they keep going to their 2 players in Scott and in Shedd on the front court and back court, they can do some great things. So those are my 3 teams, and I think they can do some damage later in this back stretch of the season.
Alright, so my 3 teams are very similar to David's. I thought about Casa Grande Union, but I do have to point out that their star point guard in Juliet Graves, she is likely done for the rest of the season. Back when CG Union hosted their holiday tournament, she went down with an injury. It was an MCL injury, so that is a very big loss for CG Union, which is one of the reasons, I couldn't really pick them for my 3 teams, so instead I went with Coolidge. When you talk about Coolidge, you have to talk about Brooklyn Pablo and what she has done for the Bears, not just throughout this season, but throughout her whole career. As a senior this year, she has 14.8 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 2.9 assists, and 2.1 blocks. Now, something that's a little different with this year's Bears team is that Pablo has a lot of help this year. You have Ania White, Tina Paul, Chelsea Downs, and freshman Amira Miguel. So far, she is averaging 5.2 points per game, 2.6 steals, and 5 rebounds. A big key here, though, is currently the Bears are in COVID quarantine. They haven't played for about the last week. They still have about a week left to go in their quarantine. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from this and tackle the second half of the season, given that, we're barely starting off in the second half, coming off of winter break and all that. But nevertheless, the Bears are always a pretty good playoff contender, and I expect them and Pablo to do that again this year. My second team is, as David mentioned, Vista Grande. He mentioned Jayla Scott just this week. She hit her 1,000th career point for the Spartans, and that is just the type of player she is. You know, she has a fantastic post presence, not just offensively, but we have to talk about her defensively. She is averaging 4.6 blocks per game. And in speaking with head coach Ryan Barrett, he mentioned that while her post-game presence is important, she can pretty much do it all. She has 1.2 steals per game, double digits in points and rebounds, and don't be afraid or don't be surprised if you see her beyond the arc and knocking down some deep shots, because she can also do that. I do also have to point out a sophomore in Mia Powell. She has been a great addition to this Vista Grande team, and just one thing to mention is they're very scrappy. They're going to fight for all the loose balls and everything, so you can't really sleep on this Spartans team. And just lastly, my top team is Post and Butte. It's kind of difficult here in Pinal County to highlight these top teams because while we do have really good individual players, there's not really that powerful team like we do with the boys. However, I think Post and Butte might be that team. David mentioned it, Adriana Bachman and Julia Harris, but they have a lot of depth this year, which is something that Coach Savannah Bix didn't have last year. And, they have transfer Alex Swanson, they still have Sierra Badger, Kyla Fowler, Adriana's twin sister, Helena Bachman, and two newcomers in Samira Gray and Keely Duncan, who are both freshmen. So I have to highlight Gray here. So far, 8 points per game, 3.9 in rebounds, and she's shooting 53% from the field. I think this 4A Black Canyon region with Post and Butte, Vista Grande, and Combs, it's really going to come down to these three teams to see who can come out on top in this region. Right now, they're all very evenly matched, although they are towards the bottom of the AIA rankings. However, I think Post and Butte is the superior team here between these three. David, is there anything else you want to add, or possibly a wild card team we should be on the lookout for?
I think, honestly, these three teams you talk about, not to mention Coolidge as well, I think they could be really good. I think they have the ability to perform really well as long as they can handle it down the stretch here, because we're playing some top teams. Like you said, the Black Canyon region is going to be no joke for Combs, for Post and Butte, for Vista Grande. So I think that will be, like you said, the division to talk about. And when we get down here, let's hope for some playoff teams and see what they can do if they get there. So it should be fun this back stretch of the season.
All right, that does it for this week's Pinal Prep Spotlight. Be sure to check out Pinal Central throughout the week for all of your winter sports coverage.